2 years after the outbreak of a zombie virus, the question remains, where can one find a stable home? Morgan's convoy's been moved I don't know how many times. After parking, they start building defenses, shaping the convoy into a circular bastion around their vital tanker truck, crucial in a world where usable gasoline is increasingly scarce. As noon nears, Naomi is ready to lead another move, constantly searching for the ideal settlement. Despite the weariness from relentless relocation, she remains convinced that their current spot is unsuitable for living. At this moment, Dwight approached. Under Daniel's skilled guidance, Dwight had transformed his appearance, symbolizing his farewell to his former, ruthlessly violent self. Dwight said they couldn't move for the time being, but when he did a head count, he realized that one person was missing. Naomi is surprised, having tallied everyone the previous night. Turns out, last evening, a praying churchgoer heard a knock at the door. The man was wearing a suit and carrying a rifle. His forceful opening of the door knocked down the zombies. He was no stranger to such situations. He stepped into the yard and realized the main gate had been opened, allowing zombies to enter. After he closed the gate, there was another sound from the yard. 3 zombies are by a car, and someone has apparently run and hidden inside. Without hesitation, the man confronted the zombies. With his bayonet, he easily overpowered the zombies. Unexpectedly, he was tackled to the ground by another zombie from behind. While he was struggling to hold on, the car door opened forcefully and knocked the zombies away. Taking advantage, he shot and finished off the zombie. Afterwards, the man lay on the ground, taking a deep breath of relief. The person in the car turned out to be Charlie, who had run away from the convoy. At this time, Charlie looks a bit of a mess, but fortunately the man is not a bad person to take Charlie in. The man's name was Jacob, a pastor. Early the next morning, Jacob was at the fence killing zombies. Charlie offered to help, but in Jacob's eyes, she was just a little girl. Yet unexpectedly, Charlie exhibited remarkable calmness and skill. As a pastor, Jacob still maintained his habit of daily prayer in the church. Just then, the eternal flame symbolizing religious faith began to flicker. It was their last battery. Jacob could only tell Charlie that he needed to go out to find batteries, as the fire couldn't be allowed to go out. But Charlie stopped him. She felt she could help Jacob and contacted Naomi via walkie-talkie. Naomi, upon receiving the message, finally breathed a sigh of relief. She blamed herself for not counting everyone properly the previous night, leading to Charlie being left behind. Charlie said it wasn't her fault. She wasn't left behind but had run away on her own. Naomi was puzzled. Charlie explained that she used to wander with the convoy and just wanted to find a place to settle down. She had looked for several suitable places the previous night but found none. However, she felt she had found a place that could be home and invited Naomi to come and see. Bringing some batteries, Jacob, realizing there was movement outside, went out and eliminated another zombie. Charlie was puzzled about where the zombies were coming from. Jacob just said there must be a gap in the fence. You go in first, I'll check the fence. Looking at the zombie, Jacob sighed. Instead of checking the fence, he went to the backyard. There, he found a breach in the house's door, with a zombie trying to crawl out. Jacob quickly ran up, dragged the zombie out, and killed it with his weapon. Then he fixed the hole with a wooden board and reinforced the glass door. There were countless zombies inside the house. Soon, the battery issue was resolved. Naomi and John arrived in an armored vehicle. Jacob expressed his gratitude. Naomi said they needed to return to the convoy. However, Charlie insisted on staying and took Naomi outside to reinforce the wall. Charlie wanted Naomi to bring her convoy to settle here, but Naomi expressed concerns that the place was not big enough and lacked a water source. Meanwhile, in another part of the convoy, Dwight and Sarah were having a heartfelt conversation on the roof. Suddenly, they noticed something moving in the distance. Dwight used binoculars to get a closer look and saw that it was Logan's 3 cars. Naomi and John urged Charlie to leave quickly, but Charlie insisted. "You all go. I'm staying." Just as Naomi was feeling helpless, Sarah's voice came through the walkie-talkie, saying, "Logan has found me." Naomi realized the gravity of the situation. Sarah said, "I've already instructed everyone to meet at the next rendezvous point, but we need the armored vehicle to protect the fuel truck. Hurry back." As they were preparing to leave, the sound of zombies could be heard outside. The door of the building had been shattered. When they opened the church's main door, they were stunned to see it swarming with zombies and quickly closed it again. Jacob no longer hid the truth, revealing that these zombies were not from outside the fence but were once members of his church congregation. He explained that when they were running low on supplies, he went out to find food, only to return to find them all turned into zombies. The convoy was in dire need of support. John surveyed the surroundings and came up with a plan. He's going to use the ladder to get to the armored car. Below them were zombies, and a fall would mean certain doom. As soon as they reached the top of the vehicle, zombies began to swarm around them. They had to cross several vehicles to get to the armored vehicle. Moving carefully one step at a time, John laid out the ladder and decided to test the route himself. Although the ladder was shaky, he successfully made it to the opposite vehicle. Naomi also got on the ladder and started to walk to the other side. They had safely passed the first obstacle. On the other side, Logan and his people were closely following the tanker, their target being the gasoline in the tanker. Sarah could only urge Naomi to come for support quickly. Naomi replied that they were trying their best. They continued to pave their way using the ladder. In this process, there was no room for error, as any mistake would turn them into food for the zombies. Charlie and Jacob watched nervously. Naomi, with John's assistance, first moved to another vehicle. By the time it was John's turn to walk, the zombies were almost able to touch his feet. John carefully stepped on the ladder and fell on it, but he was able to stabilize himself. They fired several shots and killed the nearest zombies before slowly moving to the roof of the car. The next part was the final stretch. The ladder was directly placed on top of the wall. Naomi had just started climbing when the fence began to collapse, nearly dropping her into the midst of the zombies. Now they were in a very awkward situation. The ladder had fallen, and the area around the vehicle was nearly all zombies. They definitely couldn't leave right away. Sarah and her group could only rely on themselves. Charlie and Jacob discussed and decided to abandon the church. John and Naomi can only kill a few zombies to vent their emotions. At that moment, a sound came from inside the church. Charlie opened the door and Jacob blew the horn. The zombies, attracted by the sound, began moving towards the church, and soon, the church was swarming with zombies. Charlie and Jacob quickly fled from the second floor. With no pressure on John's side, he easily took out two zombies. He dismantled the luggage rack from a car, ran to the front door, and secured it shut. Jacob also decided to join them and packed up his things to leave. Meanwhile, Sarah's fuel truck was still being pursued. Sarah reluctantly announced that the truck was running out of fuel. Dwight doesn't understand how they can run out of gas when they're driving a tanker. Sarah said that this is not a water pipe. The tank is not connected to the fuel tank. Soon, the vehicle stopped under a flyover. Dwight also drew his gun, ready for a fight. 3 vehicles stopped beside them, merely Logan's subordinates. Logan himself was not there. Sarah declared that they would not leave the truck, even if it meant dying with it. As Sarah and Dwight prepared to confront the attack, the 3 vehicles started and left. Sarah and Dwight were puzzled, but then Sarah saw the armored vehicle in the rearview mirror. It turned out that the armored vehicle had scared them off. Sarah let out a long sigh of relief. John was glad to get rid of Logan and the others. Dwight said they chased us, burned a lot of petrol, and then turned around and left. Which, knowing Logan, is not normal. The situation was exactly as Dwight had suspected. The person who had just been pursuing them was informing Logan that their armored vehicle was far away and they were safe. Logan had deduced the location of the oil fields from Althea's documentary. This was his plan. At that moment, Logan had arrived at the location of the oil fields, hidden within a quarry. Let's talk about Logan's past. Back in the day, Logan and Clayton teamed up to create a trucking organization, actively helping survivors in the post-apocalyptic world. Logan was the brainchild behind their motto, plastered on their crates: take what you need, leave what you don't. One day, while Logan's out dropping off these boxes, he gets this distress call over the radio. It's a woman's voice, panicked, saying she's at a truck stop 65 miles away and zombies are on her tail. Logan's like, don't freak out, my buddy Clayton's on that road. He'll be there in a flash to back you up. But he can't get any response from Clayton. Little does Logan know, at that very moment, Clayton's truck's been hijacked by Sarah and her brother, so no rescue message gets through. Logan's got no choice but to tell the lady to lock up tight and that he's coming to save her. As he drove, the woman's cries for help became more and more urgent. Logan had to speed up the car and reassure the woman to hang on, but just as he's passing the 55-mile marker, his fuel gauge hits empty. He's forced to stop and, with the situation getting critical over the radio, Logan starts hoofing it on foot.
Where are you? Almost there!
He's only 7 miles from the truck stop, so he books it, running like mad until he hits the 61-mile mark.
Logan! Again!
10 minutes later, Logan finally reaches the truck stop. The doors are wide open, no one inside. Then Logan saw that the woman had become food for the zombies. Logan, heartbroken, fires off 4 shots to put down the zombies, then collapses outside, devastated, feeling helpless and questioning himself after witnessing her death. Logan looks up to see 5 strangers on horseback approaching. They get to him, and the woman leading them, Virginia, dismounts and just says sorry. They heard it all go down over the radio. Logan's like, "What do you need?" Virginia says she's just there to help. They've been watching him, listening to his broadcasts. Logan has a moment of doubt. She tells him they share the same dream of helping others, only their vision is bigger. They could build a better future together. From that moment, Logan changes. He stops helping strangers and focuses on seizing the oil fields for Morgan. But deep down, Logan's still a good guy. Even with his vast array of weapons, he would not let his men hurt anyone. In a world where electricity is a rare commodity, zombies, in a way, became like perpetual motion machines. This place is the oil field that Morgan and the others hold. 2 boys picked out a little white mouse and hung it on the railing. Then, they released the hook that was secured on the ground. Drawn by the rat, the zombies started to shuffle forward. And just like that, a perpetual motion machine for extracting crude oil was born. Workers then opened the valves, transferring the stored crude into the refining tanks, heated to high temperatures for refining, and after settling in separation, they got usable gasoline. Luciana and Wendell, grubby and grimy, did this daily grind to keep the convoy powered up. Wendell's always griping, "We're producing way too much. There's nowhere to store it all." Annie's like, "By my count, Sarah should be rolling in with the tanker tomorrow to pick up the oil." Wendell was getting a little tired of this place and said, "I wake up every morning with a pillow as dirty as a shroud." Then, they hear a truck approaching. At the door, they realize something's off. Wendell quickly radios Sarah to check if it's them, but gets no response. As the truck noise gets closer, they realize it might be strangers. Then, 2 vehicles smash right through the gate. Annie hurries her brothers back inside. Luciana and the others see who's stepped out. It's Logan and his squad. Logan recognizes Clayton's people and cuts to the chase. He's there to take over the oil fields. Meanwhile, Victor's off helping Alicia unwind. Alicia's taken a liking to graffiti, hoping Wes will see her work and believe there's still hope in this world. Just then, Alicia's radio crackles to life, a woman's desperate plea for help. The woman said she was at a truck stop marked 65 miles away, locked herself in a building because of zombies outside, and needed their help. Alicia immediately radios for help, hoping someone can rescue the woman, but Naomi says they're en route to the oil fields. Suspecting Logan's crew might have discovered it, Daniel and Morgan are out of range, too far to communicate. So, Alicia and Victor have no choice but to drive there themselves. In these last days, those who have no voice are left on their knees and at the mercy of others. One of Logan's cronies, Doris, found Clayton's diary. Luciana was forced to kneel helplessly, seething with silent anger. Logan briefly skimmed through the diary but didn't find the oil refining method he was looking for, so he callously tossed the journal into the fire. Clayton's hard work and dedication, up in smoke because of Logan. Logan then asked if they wanted to spill the beans on how to refine oil. Luciana, already disgusted by his actions, flat out refused. Logan just laughed, expecting this response. Then he took out his walkie-talkie and started contacting the man who had chased Sarah to tell him to come over and start refining the oil. This was the source of Logan's confidence. The guy already knew how to refine oil. Blocked by crates on the highway and wanting to save time, the man decided to move them. When he tried to move the crate, the lid opened. Sarah, gun in hand, aimed at the man, and Dwight also took control of the 2 in the car. Turns out, Sarah had overheard the man asking Logan for directions over the radio, so Sarah and Naomi split up, with Sarah and Dwight heading here to intercept. The man, assuming they wouldn't shoot, was clearly taken aback by Sarah's forceful presence. Sarah, with her fiery temper, fired a warning shot and said, "I've done a lot of unbearable bad stuff in my life, but one thing I can't get over is stealing Clayton's truck with Wendell, which led to his tragic death. Killing you, though, won't weigh on my conscience." The man was intimidated by Sarah's aura and remained silent. Then the vehicle arrived at the quarry. Logan was expecting his own guy, but instead, it was Sarah and Dwight. Logan's crew tensed up immediately. Sarah and Dwight pointed their pistols at Logan, and the man who could refine oil was thrown into the road by Sarah. An infuriated Logan told Luciana that now she had to refine the oil. Just then, one of the perpetual motion zombies got its head blown off. It was sharpshooter John and Naomi arriving just in time. John said he fired the shot as a warning to prevent anyone from accidentally pulling the trigger. Logan's men are also a bit panicked. They've seen the documentary and they know that John's a good shot. But Logan doesn't panic. He knew the humanity of these people. Logan then took out his walkie-talkie and said to John, "You guys spend every day helping others. You wouldn't shoot a living person. This is all just bluster. You alone can't kill all of us." John didn't kill anyone after all. Killing wasn't what Sarah and the others wanted to see. So, she lowered her gun and tried to reason with Logan. "Our ask is simple," Sarah said. "We're not here to kill anyone or take over the oil fields. Let's try to resolve this peacefully." Logan replied, "Let's talk then. You stay and refine the oil and I'll let the kids go." Sarah agreed but insisted on one condition: a vehicle for the kids to join up with their convoy. The three kids wanted to stay together through thick and thin, but Luciana urged them to leave immediately. Reluctantly, the kids complied. A new zombie replaced the old one in the perpetual motion machine, and the refining process was brutally efficient. Logan seemed in a hurry. Sarah asked, "Why don't you tell us what you need all this oil for?" Logan didn't go into details but said they would use the resources to create a better home, not just help people one by one like they did. "Actually, I should thank you, Sarah. You've helped me evolve." Sarah was a little confused. Logan explained, "Not long ago, I received a distress call from a woman on Clayton's route. Clayton didn't respond, and I went myself, but I was too late. I listened as the woman was torn apart by zombies, helpless to do anything. It was because Clayton wasn't there, because you stole his truck. The things I'm going to do will change this kind of situation for good. If you really want to help, don't stand in my way. All the good deeds you do can't make up for this." Sarah and Wendell felt even more guilty after hearing Logan's story. Naomi's voice came over the radio. "You should leave. Zombies have started to appear above the oil fields." Meanwhile, Alicia and Victor were racing towards the truck stop, with the woman's increasingly frantic pleas for help coming through. When Alicia asked her name, the woman replied, "I can't say my name. It wouldn't be safe. Are you really coming to save me?" Obviously, it's hard to believe that anyone would come to your aid in a post-apocalyptic world, but, as fate would have it, Victor spread his hands in despair as their vehicle ran out of gas. Now they had to continue on foot. It seemed eerily similar to Logan's situation, a girl trapped at a truck stop 65 miles away. A rescue attempt thwarted by a vehicle breakdown. Was history about to repeat itself?